So this describes cultural identity, right? This would be characteristics extending beyond individual difference to those traits that members of a given culture share with one another. Another ASR, discriminated operant of tacting contingencies of reinforcement and punishment administered by a group of individuals. This describes, is it A, culture, B, cultural identity, C, cultural awareness, or D, all of the above? Stop and think. Correct answer is cultural awareness. And so that is the repertoire that we as supervisors certainly want to always be seeking to develop. This is the repertoire that allows us to develop awareness of a supervisee's personal cultural values, their preferences, those being learned reinforcers, characteristics, as well as circumstances like contingencies that involve cultural selection that are influencing our supervisee's behavior. And so it helps us to understand that person as a whole. It's not just about the operant contingencies that are affecting their behavior on a day-to-day level. It's also about the cultural pressures that they may be under or the rules that they may be following related to the culture that they feel a sense of belonging to. And so by understanding their cultures, we can promote behaviors that are socially acceptable to people from diverse cultural backgrounds. It promotes sensitivity and cultural responsive supervision practices, like culturally sensitive modes of feedback. In some cultures, some of these may be less appropriate or more appropriate than the other, whether we text or email or phone or always provide feedback in person. There may be differences in the way we communicate the feedback that's more culturally responsive, right? It ensures that the behavior analysts treat supervision collaboratively as a two-way street so that the relationship between the supervisor and the supervisee includes input about what cultural contingencies and values might contribute to this effective supervisory relationship. So how can we as supervisors be more culturally aware? Well, if we are aware about our own personal biases and how they compare to and may affect our relationship with our supervisee, we're going to provide more effective supervision. So what is self-awareness? This is being able to make verbal discriminations of not only our own overt behavior, but also looking at our private thoughts, our covert behavior. It also includes being able to talk about, make verbal discriminations of these aspects of our own personal experiences that may actually have produced a bias. Self-awareness and can prevent our biases from impeding how we serve culturally diverse groups of individuals, those being the supervisees. Acknowledge your limitations when it comes to your own cultural knowledge. You know, many of us have not traveled or experienced the world. I was fortunate when I was a young teenager to travel to China and actually do a 6-week exchange program. And I learned so much. And I learned about cultural differences that really influence how people behave, sometimes differently, right? But we don't all have the time to physically go and live in other countries and experience other cultures. And so we have to acknowledge that we have limitations. If you've lived in only one place for your whole life and you tend to surround yourself with people of that same cultural sense of belonging that you have, then you should really admit to yourself that you're probably more limited in your cultural knowledge. That doesn't mean you can't seek out opportunities to develop cultural sensitivity, but it means you probably need to do it more actively in seeking it out. Talk about diverse interactions with professional communities, engage in group discussions, attend lectures or, workshops on the topic, educating yourself, reading journals, mentorship meetings. verbal feedback sessions, or engaging in self-reflective exercises as ways that you can become more culturally aware. I don't have travel up there, but yes, I'm going to add travel. Have a passport. Make time and put in the resources. I know it can be expensive to go places. That can certainly help build a lot of cultural awareness to other communities. Go outside of what may be comfortable, right? As a way to build cultural awareness. How can supervisors be culturally aware? Well, it's about certainly flexibility and being open, not too rigid, acknowledging your limitations. Again, talking about those diverse interactions with a group of people. These same, I'm sorry, I'm repeating it. These same things certainly apply. Other suggestions as to how supervisors can be more culturally aware is about mindfulness. Attending fully and alertly in the moment to interactions that you're having with your supervisees. This also goes back to that aspect of actively listening, being present, eye contact, nodding your head, rephrasing what they're telling you so that they know that you're truly listening. That's also about being mindful. And as you're listening, being mindful also means that you're not going to judge or be judgmental in what they're telling you. This is a characteristic of clinicians and human service providers who are going to help develop theories about behaviors by analyzing data rather than depending on our biases or assumptions as to why someone is engaging in a certain behavior, right? It goes back to also using functional assessment tools like the PDC Human Service to help facilitate being culturally aware and less likely to be biased or using biases to inform why we think someone is engaging in a problematic performance. Seek out the use also of culturally aware assessment procedures to identify if there are cultural barriers. Focus on the relations